Hey everybody, how's everybody doing out there? Pete Branscombe here. Good to see us. To in the house right now. Get some thumbs up there. That's good. Make yourselves known. Say hello. Who do we got? Who do we got? I got a coffee here. I'm gonna drink the coffee. So we'll have a coffee here tonight. And we'll just have a little chat. I'm not gonna be on. What's up, Camo? Not gonna go too long tonight. Gary Galuska, good to see you. What's up, Pete, my brother? Good to see you. Good to see you too, Camo. Yeah, so I'm not going to go super long tonight. Just going to have a coffee with you tonight, have a chat, see what everybody's been up to. I've been away for a little bit. I've been around, but I haven't been online, haven't been on Facebook, haven't been on Telegram, haven't been on anything. Mostly because my phone, it had a lot of cracks in it, right? And I was able to use it without any problems for quite a long time, like at least like well over a year and a half with a cracked screen, and just keeps on cracking and like the whole outside of it super cracked, one crack kind of going through the middle, starting to web off. Whole back end of it, the whole back side was just a big cracked mess. Pieces of glass and stuff all coming around off around the outside and whatnot. Yeah, so it camera lens busted on it. Um, Bad shape. So, anyways, one night fell asleep listening to something on the couch. It was just on the ottoman. Woke up in the morning and the screen, she was off. She would not work. No screen available. Powered up, I would blink, but you couldn't get any picture. The most I could get sometimes it would kind of show it would show a slightly kind of burned image, right? But kind of like the flutter, kind of green, black, and then it would just go out. So it's been into tech experts for the last few weeks, and I've had a loaner phone, a iPhone, which I really hate. I really don't like it. I don't like anything about it really. Um, Apart from it's in better shape than my current phone, and the camera is in better shape because obviously the lens isn't broken on the camera and the screen isn't cracked. So there's that stuff, right? So it's better like that. But is it just me, or if you have an iPhone, do you have to pay for every app to get on your phone? Because like I would go on, and I tried to put YouTube on the iPhone, and it would say in-app purchase, and it would take me to where I had to buy it or have a Apple ID. I don't get an Apple ID. I have no Apple ID, so I couldn't get it. So I couldn't get YouTube on. So I'm streaming from the laptop. The laptop. I call it the laptop. Laptop. The laptop. It's actually called a laptop. But I'm half retarded. That's how I talk sometimes. Yes, here, Camo. I ain't a fan of the iPhone or any smartphone for that matter. Yeah, it's true because, man, I'll tell you, I never used to be on the phone a whole lot for many years. I avoided really being one of those people that walk around with a phone, and when I'm at work and whatnot, I don't really go on it a whole lot. Just when I know that I'm going to be kind of by myself, I might be on, checking out videos or news or something like that, and just listen to stuff or whatever like that while I'm at work and whatnot, just some entertainment. But um, generally, when I'm at home, especially in the evening, everybody's bed, it's like phones in my hand. And even sometimes when I get home, it's like, oh, I have an opportunity where I'm on my Wi-Fi signal. I can check out something, right? Oh, I'll see what's going on today. See what happened. See what the updates are on the thing that's been going on for the last 2 years, right? See what the updates are on the thing, the global conspiracy that we all know has been going on, and see what the update is on it. Nothing, right? But every day we're tuned into it, right? Every day we're tuned into something that we know is taking place, right? And we're like tuned in trying to find out what the next piece of the revelation is, right? What's the next thing, the next chapter? What's the next thing to be revealed? That's what it is basically, right? If you want to think of it like a simulation, it's basically we're just waiting for the next act, right? To take place. We're in this kind of lull right now, and this lull that we've been in, I found it a good opportune time just to kind of with my phone breaking too, and just to kind of get away from everything for a little bit, not really be a part of anything, kind of deprogram. You know, I promise I didn't get swept away by any government agency and re-educated for a month, reprogrammed, sent out to disinformation. I swear nothing like that happened. But I think I might have got COVID 2022. I think I had COVID 22. Maybe. I don't know. Never tested myself. That's the thing, right? Oh, I think I had it. I don't know. But maybe I did. No, but the whole household has been. Oof. Households had a rough go here the last few weeks. Everybody's been sick, at least once. Anyways, um, yeah, just drained. It's one thing to another. I had it, and it didn't really last on me very long. I'll get to that in a second. Wife had it, and for her, it was kind of like she was just wiped out. But my wife, she's the type that she's like a cat. She likes to have her naps and stuff like that, right? And, you know, for me, it was like, oh, well, she's tired. She's going to go have a sleep kind of thing, right? No big deal kind of thing, right? And, going to bed a little bit earlier. She said she wasn't feeling good. So I knew she wasn't feeling good, right? But I didn't know really the extent to how bad she was feeling. She was because she was still going to work and stuff, right? Because women are tough like that, right? They carry around a kid in their belly for 9 months, and it's like they have a lot more tough resources than what we give them credit for in certain things, right? And it seems like being pregnant and getting sick is two of those things. And anyway, so she wasn't feeling good, and she was resting a lot, and I understood that, so I let her rest, kind of thing. But I didn't know really the extent. And the middle one, she had kind of a bad cold, and she was tired and drug out, and sometimes with her, it's you don't know either. Kids, it's really hard to tell, right? But generally, when a kid that's pretty active, is just always kind of on the couch and stuff and not wanting to get up, wanting to just sit on the couch and suck their thumb, right? And the oldest, she just starting to get it. And with her, it's more of a cough. The middle one, she had a bad dry cough. The youngest one, she had, the young ones get it because they can't blow their nose or do any of the proper things to relieve themselves of the situation. So there's just snot and everything like that. And she had it for, a few weeks, and she was just miserable, just absolutely miserable. And, and you feel bad for them, right? Because you can't do anything for them. and they can't do much for themselves. But you know, you can take care of them, right? And you put the stuff on their chest and whatnot to open up their chest. You give them their, cough medicine and stuff like that. You give them a hot bath and do all the things that you do or whatever, right? But it's kind of like you just gotta roll with it, right? It is what it is, and it'll pass. It just sucks, but everybody's kind of hit a little bit differently. Not everybody exactly the same. And when I got it, when everyone went through it, it just could be time of the year, change of the season. Like I said, nobody did tests, so no one knows what it was. But we can laugh and say that we had COVID 2022, or COVID 22, whatever. The hang on, the stay behind of COVID 21 maybe. And anyways, so when I got it, whenever it was, when I got sick, and this was in the last few weeks too, right? So that's another reason too. Just everything. And it's just been hectic at the house with people, everybody being sick at different times, and like one person's sick and they're just starting to get better, and then two people are sick, and then there's two of them are starting to get better. Another add one there, and minus one here, plus one there, and just it's been rough. So, anyways, when when I was feeling sick, I was at work one day and I was quite a ways from home, and I was just feeling really like light. I was feeling really cold inside, which I don't usually ever feel, but I was always feeling like I was like, ooh, it's just like kind of shiver in the middle of my chest, like it was like my insides were cold, right? And while I was at work, I was just like, I just felt really floaty, right? You felt like I was, I don't know, like whack, tripping or whatever, right? But like I just felt really light, and it was kind of like almost inner ear off balance a little bit, but not not really. But you know what I mean. You kind of get that earache kind of thing. You feel it up in your head and your sinus and everything. That equilibrium kind of dysmorphia, whatever. Anyway, so I'm feeling that, and I left early that day. Hadn't really eaten anything. Hadn't eaten well up to that point. Hadn't eaten anything, and I was getting on. Like the place I had to go to was 2 hours plus away, right? So when I think I might have had something in the morning, and then I didn't have anything all day while I was there and everything like that. Got a freaking bath of hot water and detergent. I was freaking finishing up the buffer tank and watching it wash, and they had this leak on it, right? So I was just like, oh, I'll just check this thing out here before I leave, and it was the it's the delivery hose, right, for the water being recirculated back into the buffer vessel. So as soon as they started, like, I just wanted to undo the clamp a little bit to kind of like move it a little bit and push down. And unbeknownst to me is how much pressure was actually on it because the motor was running, right. If I would have been done it when it was filling or anything like that, it wouldn't have been a problem. But the motor was running. It was it was it was friggin' pumping, right? So I go and I loosen the clamp off, and I just got to hold it, also just right in my hand, and just hot detergent water just all over my face, all over the place, whatever, right? I'm trying to put this thing back on. It's running. I'm up on a bucket, right? I'm standing on top of a bucket or a chemical barrel, and the little screen and everything like that. The display is down, display box is down low, right? And I'm up here and it's down there and I can't reach it, right? And I'm trying to hold this freaking thing in here from squirting water all over the place. And as soon as I let go of it a little bit, it just goes flying all over the place, right? So it's a big mess. And I'm just holding it, just fresh. If I like move at all, it's come flying off. Like it's crazy how much pressure is actually on this thing. So, anyways, uh, eventually I just jump off the barrel, let the water fly, turn the thing off, get the thing on, tighten the clamp, get myself cleaned off. I got detergent all in my face, so there's chlorine in that. uh, detergent in that alkalinity, and then the chlorine side of it. And so it's like you've been in a pool, right? So my eyes for the rest of the day are burning, and then whatever is in up here, and I'm like, washed my face, washed my hair, washed everything. And even though after all that's said and done, it would be like 30 minutes later, I'm all dried off, and I like blink or something like that, then it's like my eyes are like, oh, right? It was rough. And anyways, and then started to feel kind of weird too on top of it, right? So I drove back home, made it all the way back home, wherever like that. Just felt, felt off, and then got home, came inside, went upstairs, got ready to have a shower because I was like, I just felt cold, right? And I'm like, I just want to have a hot shower and lay down, right? I get home, it was late in the afternoon. I'm like, it was Friday. I'm like, I ain't going back to the shower. So I go up and I take my shirt off to go and get into the shower, and immediately, like, the air when it hits my body, like every muscle and everything like that just started like firing and tingling. Like it was crazy. Look, like my shoulders and like my chest, it was just like dancing, whatever, right? And it was just, I was freezing, right? I cranked the shower on, put it on quite hot. I got in there and I had to stand in the shower, not to give you the mental image or whatever, right? But I had to stand in the shower, right, under the hot water for like, I stayed there for a good 10, 15 minutes. I definitely exceeded my my carbon footprint limit as far as using hot water in that shower. And then as soon as I get out of the shower, it was like I didn't even get to the bedroom and I was just shivering again. I got out of the blankets. I put clothes on, got out of the blankets, threw them up, and I went to sleep. And I slept for, most of that evening. Got up around like 10 o'clock, went downstairs, had a bite to eat, had a coffee, and then went back to bed. Slept all basically the next day. Come downstairs, maybe get a snack, some water, coffee, go back upstairs, lay down. I did that all that day, slept most of that day. Um, Next morning, I got up and I felt a little bit better, but still kind of, not much energy. I'd be good for a little bit. I didn't have the shivers anymore. I had my heat back. So I'd get up and I'd be good for a little bit, and then I go and lay down, kind of thing, right? And then by the next day, I was good to go. Who's in chat here? Fritz Cat Bar, how's it going, brother? Miss Massless, how you doing, my lady? How you doing, my lady? Not to embarrass you, don't be too corny, my lady. I think about that movie. What's the movie where they're doing the video games? The Adam Sandler guys, uh, and the really nerdy guy that dresses like Neo from the Matrix. And every time he sees the girl, my lady, he talks like he's like like the 15th century or something. How's everybody doing? Good to see us. Who else is in here? Awesome. Evening all. Evening. Awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. I'm saying it right? Welcome. Welcome. So yeah, so that was my bout with it. I had the chills. I didn't have much of a headache. A little bit of a headache, kind of like into that night next day, but not super bad. And then by the time then when I get over it, I was good to go after that. Once I get done and over it, I've been feeling pretty good ever since. Wife now, she's going back through it. All of a sudden, her throat got real sore on her, and ears aching, head pressure, and everything like that. Tired out, And now I think she's kind of starting to come around again too. The oldest one, she's kind of in the thick of it too, and the middle one, the youngest one, are getting better. But to add all to the fun excitement, the youngest one is being potty trained, right? And we've been blessed with three girls that just absolutely refuse to go to the potty. They love to use their diapers as their potty. It's insane. Like all three of them, they just won't go to the potty. The potty is just the absolute. It's the it's their nemesis. The potty is the nemesis. It's like Look Who's Talking or Look Who's Talking Too with the toilet. I think I had a Gilbert Godfrey voice. I am not going to do a Gilbert Godfrey impression right now. I could do one, but I'm not going to right now because I have to do a couple bad ones before I get a good one. Maybe if I can pull one out later, I will. But that right there, that kid. How does a like a 2 year, 6 month, 7 month, whatever? How does a child that old hold their bowels and their urinary tract that long? I don't get it. She held it all day long until like the wife was like not looking for 2 seconds, and then she's like, she's like, oh, she held her poop all day long until, and she was uncomfortable. She was uncomfortable for so long. Her belly was just sticking out, like just wouldn't go. She'd go and she'd sit on the potty, and she would go, but it was all show. It was all show. She wasn't trying to poop. She was just playing us. Oh yeah, I really tried, mom and dad. I was really, really trying to pinch that loaf. I was really giving it my all, mom and dad. That's a lie, and you know it. I may or may not have said that. But you're lying to me. You're not trying. As soon as she goes to bed, puts diaper on her, we put her up in bed. We're getting the other two ready for bed, and she's just in there for not even 5 minutes. Mom, I'm poopy. I'm poopy, mom. Mom, I'm poopy. So she goes in and changes it, and she's like, "You're not even done yet. You're not even done." Right? Puts the diaper on her. Go and put the other two to bed. Read Bible. Or didn't read a Bible story. Read Psalm 115 to them. That's good. That's a good. That's a really good chapter. All of Psalms is good. Is goods chapters. All Psalms chapters is goods. I read Psalm 115 to them. Really, really good. Maybe I'll read it later with the Gilbert Godfrey impression. Now we're gonna look at Psalm 119. No, that's not Gilbert Godfrey. Nah, see, I can't do it now. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassing myself. I gotta get a Gilbert Godfrey impression down so then I can just pull it out and do it for you. It's there. I've got it. I just gotta search for it. And I didn't prepare anything for tonight. All I prepared tonight was this coffee and the loading screen like 10 days ago when I said I was doing this stream. What a jerk, eh? I'm the worst YouTuber around, eh? Now I'm going live tonight. 10 o'clock. 10:30. 11 o'clock. Tomorrow night. Next night at 11 o'clock. Next week at 11 o'clock. Yeah, you do. You really do, Camo, right? And I'm not prepared to go balls to the wall right now with the Gilbert Godfrey. You got to go all or nothing. That's true. You do, because if you go there, like the song says, there ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. There ain't no such thing as halfway Gilbert Godfrey impressions, right? You either go full Gilbert Godfrey, or you don't go Gilbert Godfrey at all, right? They say not to go full retard. You can go half retard or three quarters retard, but don't go full retard. But in the case of Gilbert Godfrey, you have to go full Gilbert Godfrey, or just don't do it. So I apologize, everybody. In fact, I didn't do a Gilbert Godfrey impression. That was Dilbert Audrey. Dilbert Aubrey. That was my Dilbert Aubrey impression. He's loosely related to Gilbert Godfrey. We're talking about potty training. Potty training kids. We just had the worst experience with potty training. It's just terrible. It's like it's war. It's battle. Like I'm putting on the breastplate of righteousness. I'm putting on the helmet of truth, right? I got the sword of salvation, right? When you're battling a 2-year-old with a body, that's a spiritual battle. You better believe it is. Because you get upset with the 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. Because it's like, what, you want to be in diapers your whole life? You like those diapers? You like sitting in that, huh? You like sitting in that? Oh, that's why I didn't finish. So I'm in with the girls and we're reading Psalm 115. Read Psalm 115. We talk about it a little bit. We pray. And then, because I'm the loudest one, Dad, from the other room. Dad, I'm poopy. I'm poopy, Dad. So I go in and change her. And it's, yes, the whole day. The whole day, right? What's that Newfoundland dish called? Jerry stew or something like that, where it's just like everything thrown in. Well, that's that diaper was. Looked like freaking jambalaya. And she didn't have jambalaya. She didn't have. I'll let you in on a little secret. She didn't have jambalaya. Mad Max, good to see you. Been a minute. Hope you and your family are doing well. We're on the mend, Mad Max. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for that. And now I'm thinking of sheep shit pudding. I ate the sheep shit. It was me. So I titled this The Great Rejects. First of all, I hope everybody's doing well. Like, where did Kovo Nogo go? It just disappeared, right? They're still talking about it. They're still, it's still there, right? It hasn't gone away. There's even a protest in the capital city of Ottawa right now with the truckers with the bikers. The bikers are there. The Hells Angels are there. The Bacchus are there. 3 percenters are there. 1 percenters? 3 percenters? Are there. You know what I'm saying. Actually, I don't know. I have no idea what biking affiliations are there, but the bikers are there. And apparently the police forces are armed as if the Hells Angels and the Bacchus and, the, what's some of the other guys there? The Spartans, are they still around? Are they still around? So many names, I can't even think of them right now. But anyways, the bikers and all these guys are there. You don't really hear much of it, but I've seen some stuff, and the police they're out there. They're already in military garb. They got their friggin' gats and everything ready to go. They got their boom boom sticks ready to go. They're making a presence there quite early on, in fact. Yeah, OFC is still there. They push in second boost because of the six wave. Yeah, six wave. Where where do they even get this from? Right? You can tell who has been paying attention to the news, right? And who hasn't, right? You can tell, right, when people are walking around and they're talking about we're in the sixth wave, after all, right? I mean, sixth wave, bro. It's like totally crazy, man. Yeah, sixth wave of what? When was the fifth or the fourth or the third? When was the second? When was the first? Right? When was the first? Sha Boogala. How you doing, brother? Thanks, man. I have been hitting the weights more, getting leaned out. I don't know, probably sitting. Last I checked, when I weighed myself in my parents' place, I was sitting right in around 200, 205 ish. And I was kind of leaning down at that point, not really losing weight, but I was leaning down. I'd say I'm probably a little bit, maybe under, maybe under two, or right around two. Pretty decent size. Still got a little bit of, midsection area that needs to be tightened up a little bit, not for the sake of aesthetics, but it feels better when you're more leaner through the midsection. I got to say, I feel a lot better. I don't like having, you know, love handles or like, you know, a gut sticking over the pants or anything like that, right? Like, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like anything touching, right? I don't like things hanging over and touching stuff. It feels weird, and I'm autistically OCD, so it just bothers me all day long, right? So I'm on this warpath to get back to getting lean and being a machine. 205, how tall? Uh, I'm like 7 feet, so I'm really quite skinny. So, 7 feet. No, I'm like six. Like six, maybe now in my older age, I'm probably under six, to be honest with you. Probably like 5'11 and a half. Sucks. Really hurts the ego. But if I stand straight, stand up tall, get my neck up there, I think I'm just a little, maybe a hair over six. But anyways, yeah, I feel like crap if I'm not in shape. So everybody else needs to get in shape too. No, but you know what? It feels a lot better to make sure that I'm lifting weights at night and doing something. One thing I got to do is I got to get out running. I've been practicing a little cardio, a little short term cardio, little bursts and whatnot. But I haven't been doing any like runs or anything like that. But my workouts themselves, they're a little bit, I'm moving from one movement into another movement, supersetting and whatnot. So you're kind of not giving yourself cardio wise a break, right? You're still working your system, right? Because you're going from doing one movement that's multifunctional movement, right? Like a squat or something. And then after you're done doing the squat, you're going to like a, barbell row or something like that, or an upright row, right? Or bench press or deadlifts to, you know, something, right? Shoulder presses, incline presses, whatever, right? Clean and jerks, right? Squat cleans, right? All these things that require your body to do multiple things in one movement, right? And have require a bit of cardio when you add weight and repetition to. So these are things that are good for people to do. Exercise does benefit a person. And for me, it benefits me a lot because, like I say, I'm kind of like OCD kind of person. I got to be moving, and if I'm not moving, then I'm dying, right? Like quite literally, or like I'm sleeping, right? Like I'll go and I'll sit down and I'll just I'll fall asleep, right? And if I'm not working out, if I don't have that physical outlet, then everything just stays tensed up inside. And not to mention working out too, you have to be focused while you're doing it, right? And you have to be consistent while you're doing it, but you have to be precise when you're doing it. You have to be focused on the task at hand, right? You can't just do a clean and jerk, right, with 150 pounds and not have some intention behind it, right? Not have some thought or care and concern behind it, right? You have to be paying attention to what you're doing, right? You're going to bring that thing up from the ground, first pull, and go into the second pull, and then catch the thing, right? And if you're doing like squat clean, catching it while you're dropping down into a squat, coming up from a squat into a press, or catching it and going up into a press, right? All these things require a certain amount of focus because you got to have your body in line, right? Because you got to have a straight bar path, because the straighter your bar path goes, the easier the movement is, right? Like a squat, a deadlift, a power clean, right? A press, right? A bench press, right? An upright row. Like anything that you do, the straighter the bar path is, right, to its destination, the easier it's going to move and the better it feels. The more activation in the muscles you get. It's crazy, right? Because that's how it's lined up to go anatomically, right? Stretching is very important, and I did a little bit of stretching tonight because I'll get tight in my hips, glutes, and back, right? And it might feel like it's my back, but in reality, it's my hips. And then sometimes from that too, being my groin too, right? It feels like feels like my freaking nuts about to explode, but it ain't my nuts. It's like my freaking groin. Pardon the French. But you gotta stretch that stuff, right? You gotta stretch it, right? And again, and that stuff's all linked. Like I went and got a massage and stuff like that before, and I never had massages for like all my whole life, right? And then finally last year, I got to a spot where I got like literally I kinked up and like couldn't move for a couple of days, right? Like I was like bent right over because it was like all of a sudden I had a muscle like seize up tight, and it wasn't in my lower back. It was actually, and it was felt in my groin, but it was actually in my hip, and a lot of that was caused from driving. Driving a long time. You drive, right? Right? And you're sitting with your hips in different spots, and your knees got the way you have your feet and stuff like that sitting. That's a lot of torque on your knees and everything like that, right? So stretching, you got to do it, right? And stretching doesn't mean you have to do yoga either, right? Like for a long time, it would be like I like stretching, but everybody's like when yoga first came on, and everybody's like, "Oh, yoga, yoga. Do you ever done yoga?" I'm like, "Well, I do stretching." And stuff. Yeah, have you ever done yoga? I'm like, "No, I just like stretching. I'm not really into the whole yoga thing." Ah, it's just yoga. You're just stretching. Well, we'll just call it stretching then, right? Like, why call it yoga? Why do you have to call it yoga? Are you a yogi? Are you a practicing yogi? Are you, you know, are you gonna move to India or something? Like, what's going on here, right? But the thing is, they want that's it's not that yoga is bad for you. There's all that mysticism that is not good for you, right? It's not a good thing. Um, but the stretching aspect of it, the actual, you know, physical properties that it has that are beneficial to you, are good, right? As far as stretching is concerned, because yoga is not. It does. It's like saying, you know, people that do CrossFit, right? It's like if you're not doing CrossFit, then you ain't trained, right? Even though you're doing all the movements that someone in CrossFit would do, you know, at a CrossFit gym, but somehow it ain't CrossFit unless it says CrossFit, right? And I know because I've taught CrossFit before, right? But I was never like a culty CrossFit person. It just wasn't my thing because part of me hates CrossFit, right? Why? Because it breeds people that cheat to win and will do whatever they need to do to win to get a number, right? To achieve a certain amount of reps or a certain, you know, weight number, you know, and they won't do the movement properly, or they'll take shortcuts, right? Or they'll do whatever they need to, or they'll do it just with poor, crappy form, like to the point of like gonna hurt themselves or not feeling good the next day, right? Just to get that finish, that time, those numbers. It's not a race, and you're not benefiting yourself. It's one thing if you're gonna blast through a workout and you can perform all those exercises, you know, to a T, you know, very fluent, you know, with high weight limit, right? With good quality repetition, right? For sets. Why bother doing it? Why not just do why not just do a weight that is comparable to your skill and ability, your capacity for load, right? So that you can perform it properly and get the best results out of it. So then eventually you can perform it at that higher weight that you so desire to, right? Problem is that everybody wants the thing to happen right now. They want that thing right now. They want it yesterday. They don't want it tomorrow. They want it yesterday. They already want it, right? They've already lusted for whatever that thing is, and they want it now. And so they want the results now. And I always found that in fitness, it was always like, oh, I want to look like you, right? It's like, okay, well, you got to do some work, right? It's very much achievable, but like, you know, I do put in some time, right? I'm not crazy about it at all, right? And then it's like people wouldn't actually listen to you when you told them stuff, right? Like, you know, I'd say it's like, well, you know, it's important to record things and write down your progress and everything if you're a person that needs to go by that sort of thing, right? But you don't necessarily have to write anything down. The point is that writing something down is an action that you take so that you can write it down. It's on a piece of paper. You can look at it. You can see. You can compare data, right? But if you know what you were doing, right? Like you remember what you were doing when you first started, right? And you know what your goal is, right? And you know when you improve what those numbers are. Maybe not everybody remembers stuff like that, but I remember that stuff. Like people get really terrified with me at work because like I don't write anything down. I'm a beautiful disaster, right? Like I'm a hot mess, so to speak, right? Like I do a lot of service and maintenance work, right? And I have a fair amount of invoices at the end of the month, right? And I don't do any of my invoices until the end of the month. And that can be problematic if I don't put stuff in the order book or whatnot because they don't know what's in stock and what's out of stock because they haven't built it out, right? As long as I put it in the order book, usually they're all good, right? It needs to be reordered. But, you know, like most people, they go to a job and they write everything down that they did, and equipment that they use, parts and whatnot, the labor, and so on and so forth. Boom, it's done, kind of thing, right? They have it, they go and they do the thing. But I seem to never have time. I could make time for it. I just don't. And I should, because I would slow my work down a little bit to be a more reasonable kind of level, because how I operate is like I basically I think of all the places I need to go. I get my stuff kind of together in somewhere of an order, and depending on the day and what the schedule is, and I'm flexible enough that I can move and shift things when I need to, in case a service call comes in or whatever. I go and I do the thing, right? And I just remember it in my head. And then the next day I go and I do another thing, right? The next day I go and do another thing. And I just remember all these things and I think about them. And then one day before the end of the month, I go and I do all my invoices up. And I remember all the parts. I have to go and look up the number and whatnot, but I remember the parts that I used. I remember roughly how many hours I work, right? When I do my hours, it's like if I'm spending time trying to figure something out, right? And if it's something that I should know, but maybe I just haven't learned yet, right? But maybe I probably should know it, but just hasn't been taught to me, because just the way things go, you know what I mean? You don't always get the best training and education on everything. A lot of times in life, you get tossed into it, right? With this job, that's kind of how it was. I get taught as I could, and then a lot of stuff I had to learn on the fly. So when there's something that you know I know would only take so long, but it took me, you know, such and such time, then I'm not going to do it for that such and such a time that I took, because how much of that time did I spend dinking around, trying little things before I actually did the right thing, right? Just because I didn't know it, right? And again, it's one thing if it's a problem that no one knows what's going on, you have to dissect the problem and figure it out, right? That's one thing. But if it's something that, again, I feel like I should have known or I could have known, then I'm not going to charge for that time. Or if I got to dink around doing stuff, or if I need to go and get a part because I didn't have it, maybe I should have had it, right? But if it's something that I find that I need when I'm there, well, that's different. Then they're going to get charged for that. But that's how I operate. But that's how. But I remember all that stuff, and I do my invoices all up one day at the end of the month, and that just like terrifies some people because they don't understand how I don't write anything down. And I would reply with, "I don't know how you write everything down." Right? To me, it's terrifying. Ever hear that song, Too Jacked for the Gulag? No, I haven't. I have not heard that song. Who's it by? Shabugala. Too Jacked for the Gulag. It's weird. I have good memory work in some things, and other things I don't. I have selective memory. It's like selective hearing. If I want to hear you, I will hear you. If I don't want to, I won't. And sometimes if I'm just if I'm preoccupied with something in my mind, like what's that thing in the Simpsons? Oh, what is he always getting? Where Homer's like thinking about what he wants to do there, and someone's trying to tell him something. I think it's Flanders. Can't think of what the exactly was that he said, but sometimes when someone's telling me something, I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, for sure, yeah. What? Wait. What was it last? You just said I wasn't paying attention to any. Crystal Jean, how you doing? I hate stopping to write stuff down. I usually skip that step in my application. Yeah, I try to do that too. There's these workplace forms they want you to do up at the locations and leave them, right. So there's a little documentation for everybody to be able to see, and we can look at it. I understand why they want to do it. It does kind of help everybody out in one sense, but it's just another piece of paperwork that you got to do, right? You got to just do all these checks, and it just makes it. It kind of I just hate it because it makes it out so it's like you either gotta do everything on the checklist or kind of lie about it, kind of thing, right? Because some of the stuff on it is just you are not going to do all that stuff on that checklist on one visit, right? Especially like on a maintenance or something like that, right? Or like when you're done, you just want to get out of there, right? You just want to leave, right? You're covered and stinking. by Anomaly. Ah, yes, Anomaly. I like some of their songs there. Him and there's a black dude there that he raps with there a few times. The black dude raps with that white dude there. They all pass, guy. Pass on the vax. Stick that vax up your ass. I pass. I write stuff down. I tend to lose the notes. Well, that's it too, right? I'll write notes down and then the notes are gone. And it's like I just waste my time writing notes. I'm terrible at it. Yes, I'm wearing East Coast Canadian brand. It doesn't you can't see the Canadian part underneath there, but it's East Coast Canadian. So, he sent it to me. Send it to me. How's it going, buddy? I seen a little bit of the stream earlier with not Raging. What's his name? What's his name? What's that guy you were with? Critical Thinker. There we go. I had to critically think about that one for a few minutes. I didn't plan that either. That is a sick hoodie. Sick hoodie, bro. Thanks, Camo. East Coast Canadian sent it to me. You know, it's good to be back. And you know what? To be honest with you guys, I almost didn't come down here tonight. I was minutes away from coming down here tonight, and then I came on to go and change the time one more time. And I seen this. Right arm. Right arm. I seen right arm. And I didn't even know what that meant. But I think I know what it meant. Like, my right arm, brother. I don't know. Right hand shake. I don't know what that meant. But when I seen it, I said, I'm going to do a stream tonight because Camo. And I know I'm kind of being an idiot right now, but I am serious about that. When I seen your message, Camo, I was like, well, now I got to do the stream because he just came on and said that. Because I said, I'll see you tonight, Camo, with my big mouth. I have right and left arm. I also have a left arm. Hi. Hi. Right arm of the right hand man. Ooh. Yes. But not the hidden hand of history. Right? The great rejects. The great rejects. You know, the great rejects, I call them the great rejects because they are promoting a great reset on humanity. And in reality, they're the great rejects because ultimately the great reset is Christ, right? Jesus Christ, when he returns, he will implement the actual great reset, right? It's like really, it's the great race to the bottom for these people. It's the great race to the pit, right? It's the great race to destruction. And they're on their way to destruction. This Noah Harari. Governments are no longer interested in finding out what is on top of your skin, but governments need to know what is under your skin. We're more interested in that. What your heart rate is, your temperature, how you're feeling. And we know that humans, we are not looking to some God up in the sky, in the clouds, but we are becoming gods. But not everybody will become gods. And we also know that from this pandemic, that the governments, they did not know what to do. They didn't do anything. But the scientists, they knew what to do, and they created the vaccine. And we know that we need more vaccine and less people. Who is people? The time of free will and body autonomy is over. That is old news. That is fake news. This is the great reset of humanity. Little faggot. You little faggot. And that's your problem, Noah, is that you know what you are, but yet you can't help yourself but talk about God. On every time you see this guy, he's talking about God, this and God, that, right? You understand what that is, right? Like, this guy's a Jew who hates God. Okay? He's an Israeli who hates God. Right? This guy he knows what the Bible says. He knows what God's word says, right? And he knows what it says about him, right? And he's not interested in God's law. He's interested in his own law, right? And what they're going to do, because, you know, they think that they're going to reverse engineer God's creation to create their own abomination, right? I mean, everybody thinks that this guy sounds super smart and whatnot, right? And he's talking about all this futuristic, technological mumbo jumbo, bull crap, surveillance, got to go under the skin. Jesus is my God. So which commandment advises me about this? Jesus is my God. So which commandment advises me about this? Have no other gods before me. That's what commandment, which is, I think, what you were getting to. Right? Love the Lord thy God with all of your mind, all your heart, and all your soul. And love your neighbor as yourself. Right? So this dude, he thinks, right, that he's so smart, but yet he's pushing all the COVID stuff, right? So anybody that had any kind of thoughts that this guy was a genius should understand that he's really just a very vicious liar, a very evil individual. Like, I really see when I see this guy, I just start drooling, right? It's like to get a hold of him, just pop that freaking head off his shoulders, right? Little marble head on this little stick body with his shirts pinned back to make him look like he's lean or something, like all 110 pounds of him. Like, what? I gotta calm down for a second. So he's talking about, you know, what do we need humans for? What do we even need humans for anymore? We're going to hack humans. We're going to change their DNA so they're no longer humans. They're going to make hybrids, right? They're going to make people not human. So it's not a wonder that he's pushing technology, right, that changes and sequences your DNA, right? Which has been said from the very beginning, right? It's been said from the very beginning. And this guy is like the prophet for Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and all this stuff. And no one heard this dude. You know, like, really, like, who heard of this Noel Harari before a few months ago. Has it even been that long that he's been really on the scene? Because he wasn't around that much. No one was really talking about it. I mean, he obviously was around, but no one was really covering him. You didn't see a bunch of stuff on him. And if you did, you just thought, look at this little nerd. Who's this? Who's this nerd? Nerd needs to be stuffed in a locker. That's his problem. He didn't get stuffed in enough lockers. There's not enough in hell. Noel Harari will be punished by getting stuffed in lockers for eternity. With an eternal Tom Brady. In my opinion, anyone in the public eye is Antichrist agenda. Well, everybody is pushing for the New World Order system who's in the public eye. Most definitely Crystal Jean. Most definitely. That's 100%. If you are for the global agenda, you are 100% Antichrist agenda. And it doesn't matter really what side you fall onto either, right? Because the Hegelian dialectic, right, brings order out of chaos. In order to have chaos, you have to have opposing sides to have a social cataclysm. And you have to make social cataclysms by whatever you can, which, used to be, by country. But because they're dissolving borders, they're, going interracial, and they're going just straight racial. They're going gender wars, right? They're, pitting man against woman. They're pitting race against race, genders, right? They're going on all sorts of fronts, right? And whatever side that you really line up for, you're on one side or the other that has to butt heads against one another. And ultimately, that's the goal. That's the goal of the Great Reset, is to have the two sides clash together and to have a superhuman emerge from that social cataclysm. We are in the Albert Pike's Third World War, and whatever you want to believe on that, but we are in the part where it's talking about that they're going to release the nihilists, right? The destroyers of civilization, right? A formidable social cataclysm, right? In which the mass population, which I assume is going to be the Great Awakening, right, is going to have to rise up and take back their countries, which you can see that this is happening in places. And you've got to wonder, is that not part of the whole thing? When you watch the news, when you watch the clown world, right? Like I think about this all the time, and you think, do they really believe the things that they are saying? Some of them, I would say yes. Some of them, I would say nay, right? Obviously, probably most of the underlings and whatnot, they're just doing whatever they think they need to do, right? But they think that they're on a side that has a future, right? And they're on the winning team, so they're doing their part, right? But a lot of people that are also working for these agendas, they can't see the forest through the trees. And ultimately, a lot of those people are very selfish and greedy people and are in it for themselves. And they really don't care about the overall agenda as long as they get theirs, as long as they get their piece of the pie and they're safe and they, get promoted and all this stuff. I think it is, Peter. Anger is building. I think anger is building. And I think that's why everything has gone silent on the COVID stuff, because I think people are just fed up with it. I mean, there's still lots of people walking around with masks on. When you see people with masks on, you're like, yeah, I figured you'd still be wearing one. I figured that, right? And then there's a lot of just older people, right? That just, they still wear them because they're still horrified, right? They're still terrified of it, right? And it's a terrible thing, right? And it's a terrible thing to see. And it's all very daunting, and why you have to unplug from it all, because it's so very angering, right? it's so, you know, when you see the people that are in charge that are running this, you know that they're controlled and they're puppets and everything like that. But it's like, what time in history? Like, I just don't feel like this amount of in your face clown world buffoonery. I just don't think it would have happened before. It couldn't. I don't think it could. That's why we're in this particular time, because this is the season, right? It's the reason for the season, right? And they've lined everything up for this particular time. Everything is converging, right? With this ultimate shit pile, right? And we're at that part where they're real, like they're throwing out everything that they can throw, right? And I mean, this whole thing with the Disney, right? With the whole grooming, right? The whole grooming is it even called anti-grooming? Is it anti-grooming bill? What is it called? I don't even know what it's called, but it, oh, the controversial coin. Don't say gay bill. Don't say gay bill. Don't say gay bill from Florida. DeSantis is don't say gay bill. Very controversial. Um, so controversial that this bill is petitioning that schools not talk about gender identification and sexual orientation with minors as young as 5. Like, yeah, yeah, you're saying that like it's a problem, like it's a bad thing not to talk to little kids about sex, right? As if that's just normal, right? It's crazy. Disney 33 Club, yeah, exactly, right? Magical world of pedophilia. You go on the rides and we ride your children psychologically, spiritually, and if possible, physically. Sick degenerates. And they hire degenerates, right? Like that's the thing, right? Like, so, but you can't help that either at the end of the day, I guess, right? Because that happens everywhere. That, in any place where there's going to be children working, see it in the church, right? In different church organizations, you see it in different social organizations, right? That are directed to Boy Scouts, right? You know, sports clubs and different stuff like that, like coaches, gymnastics, you know, any any place, okay, where adults have access to children, right? Or young, not adults, but teenagers or whatever. There, the possibility of there being a pedophile in there is not only possible, but it's probable. Not only possible, but it's probable. Not only probable, but it's most likely. Okay, right? The chances are there, so you have to really be careful, right? But at the same time, nah, don't worry about that. The Disney thing, we're going to talk about that part of it. The Disney thing. So they couldn't keep their mouth shut because they had to stand up for pedophilia, right? And grooming. And they had to keep on talking about don't say gay, you know. And they're all in there, gay, 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 gay. Right? How gay is that? Like, that is gay. And that's the real gay. Not happy, but like gay. Like, that's stupid. That's gay. Remember back in the day when gay was stupid, eh? That's what gay meant, that for everything, right? Because, okay, hey, Peter, you're gay. Do you know what that is? No, what is it? It means that you like to make out with boys. Ew, that's stupid. No, it's gay. Well, stupid's gay. Oh, and gay was born. right? That was back in 1991 when I first coined that term. It took off. Gay really did take off the first time I used it. No, but universally, we all did it, right? And we didn't have to have anybody tell us, right? We all just said gay. That's gay. That's gay. And then later on, we're like, faggot. Ah! The F word's like the N word. Just there. And it's because it's the untouchable object, right? It's the untouchable thing. Do not look upon it. Do not speak it. What's everybody saying in the chat? Hey, Miss Massless. That's East Coast Canadian. Crystal Jean says, everyone is going to hate me. But I tuned into Jeremy on Monday, and within 3 minutes, he used Jesus Christ as profanity twice. Like, I just can't. Now, Crystal Jean, we don't hate you at all for listening to Jeremy. I haven't listened to really any of those guys for a little while. And I get nothing against anybody because I'm not really part of anything like that. So I just don't even know anymore, right? Like, life is too short to even worry about those guys and what they were up to or if they're up to anything. I've been so out of the loop that I don't even know what's going on, right? Like, I thought I seen Derek on East Coast Canadians chat there a few nights ago. I thought, oh, hey, shoot. So they're talking again. That's cool, right? So I don't know what's going on with everybody. Me, I'm a very neutral individual, you know. I talk to people. If you do stuff that I don't like, well then, I have a problem with you, and I don't really deal with you a whole lot, but you probably don't deal with me either. So, it's not a big deal, right? If it becomes a personal thing, well, that's a different story, right? But as far as that's concerned, no worries. As far as using Christ's name as profanity, the thing is, Crystal Jean, is that a lot of people use the Lord's name in vain today, and they use it for comedy reasons, right? Like, how many times do you someone say, blah, 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 GD, gosh darn it, right? Except they'll say GD, right? The big GD, right? And they'll just say, and they'll do it like after anything. Oh yeah, I'm going to the bar. Gee, gosh darn it. It's like, what? I don't understand. Or like something's funny. Ha ha, gosh darn it. Why wouldn't you just say gosh darn it? Why do you have to say God darn it? Why do you have to say that? I don't understand why you have to say it. Like, I have a hard time even trying to say it. And that's not me being like, no, I'm very spiritual and I don't do anything wrong. I'm a good boy and I've always been a good boy. Never told a lie, not once. I lied to you right there. Okay? No, it's not that. There's just certain things that I just don't do much of, and that's one of them. That is one of them. I just can't do it, right? Can't do that, and I can't be gay. I can't do it. It's just physically making me vomit thinking about it. Makes me vomit thinking about two dudes swapping spit. Ugh, just disgusting, right? Like, when you see a man and a woman and they kiss, that's right? Or like an old couple that kiss, like, oh, it's so cute. They've been together for like 60 years, right? That's so cute. Or you see a young couple, oh, young love, they're gonna get married someday, right? But when you see two guys kissing, it's like, ugh. Ooh. 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 Right? When you see two girls kiss, it's like, hey. No, it really isn't. You know what? Like, two girls kissing is very overrated. It's like, oh wow, oh, Whoa. Oh, look out for these two extreme girls. They're kissing. Next, they're going to start kicking all the guys' asses. Well, in that case, I won't be tuning in. Miss Maskless. What was that? What was that about? I got you. I got you. GD isn't as bad as JC because God is a title. Jesus is our Lord and Savior. Yeah, no, it is. And to me, GD and JC, to use those names in vain, it's like a girl that says fuck a lot. It's like, ugh. It just sounds it's so, to me it's so unattractive and so unappealing when someone uses the Lord's name in vain. And I don't hate them for it. I just don't understand it, right? I don't understand taking the Lord's name in vain, just like I don't understand doing a picture like this. Yeah. Screenshot it somebody. You know what I mean? Like, what? Why the picture? I'm like, oh, someone's got a camera. I better do this. Right? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand that one. Maybe you're like, yeah, we're rocking. Yeah. But I would never even do that too. Yeah. Like when I'm doing a picture, like I'm like, eh. Looking away. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Or yeah. Or a middle finger. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Someone's gonna take that and be like, this guy is irrehensible. And I'm professional. And he talks about putting stuff in poo-poo places. And yeah, very edgy, eh? I'm so edgelord right now. Being so 2000 and when was the year of the edgelord? When was the year of the edgelord? It's neat when you think about it, when you look at the internet and like online activity, because there is like this, like these different I don't believe in this term. What's it called there in the Bible? They talk, and it's not in the Bible. Well, the word is actually not dissertation, but like sections. What's that called? Somebody in the chat. Somebody rescue me. Not divination. Oh, we're in like a different period, a periodical time period of these different eras, basically. What's that called? She gave you the bird, ECC. What's that called? I'm going to think of it before the end of it. But anyways, that's what like the online dispensation. Thank you, Miss Maskless. I knew somebody was going to come up big with that. Dispensation. That's it. Like there's the dispensations of online activity in chat. So Noel Hawari, he thinks that they're going to upgrade and become gods. They're going to merge with technology, right? Just like what conspiracy minded people that have been minding the conspiracy, right? The conspiracy. It's when you're conspiracy theorists, it means you're theorizing the conspiracy. So there's an admission to the conspiracy, the global conspiracy that's going on. No, there's no new world order happening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that as we come out of COVID-19 and emerge from this pandemic, that it's an opportune time to forge a new world order. The COVID-19 has given us an opportunity for the Great Reset.
we'll be taking every opportunity to abide by the World Economic Forum and World Health Organization's mandates and prescription for our future, which is endless vaccines and continuous lockdowns, and no dissension of thought, and no dissenting voices will be permitted. We are in this together, and together we won't allow the voices of hatred and anger bring us down. We won't allow these dirty, chauvinistic, violent, Nazi, anti-trans, xenophobic, haters of civilization. We can't allow them to continue. Right? Like, what is that dude on? Right? He'll say whatever he needs to say, but I haven't heard much from him lately because I haven't been paying attention to much. Just like the trucker convoy that's happening right now, haven't been paying much attention to it. Does anybody know what's going on with that? Is that anything to be paying much attention to? Obviously, I think it is, because if people aren't paying attention and things aren't being done, then they'll surely pull this out of their hat again. What's trucker convoy? The Nazi convoy, Shabugala. The hate convoy, the convoy of hate, the fascist convoy. So if people let down now, then it's just going to come back again. And I think the thing is that now there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that is happening, because there's a lot of people that have woken up to it, and you're not hearing about it, right? You're not hearing about all the people that have gotten sick after having 1, 2, 3 shots, right? It is our mandate to make sure that we get shots into people's arms as quickly and as effectively as possible. Safely, of course, right? So people are definitely becoming debilitated from this, and it's coming out because it's not just, obviously, people had adverse reactions immediately, and there were deaths immediately from the shots, from the clot shots, right? There are immediate deaths, right? Many, way more than what there obviously should be for a, mandated vaccination, right? Because with other vaccines that have come out in the past, if there was even a, 5 people in 100, right? Or 5 people in 1,000, right? Or 5 people in 10,000 that had adverse reactions, they would pull the thing, right? As soon as it comes to light that it's affecting people, they pull it, right? But this one here, that, it's waning. It's waning. We never could imagine that it would wane. We were so optimistic, and we just felt that this was the answer to get us out of the pandemic. So we were ignorant in hope, and that's what happened. No one said anything about waning, right? So before, they were safe and effective, keep you from getting sick, keep you from getting hospitalized, keep you from death, right? Oh, if you didn't have it, it would have been much worse, right? Oh, if she didn't get that third one, I mean, she would have died before this, right? She would have been dead much sooner, right? Instead of now, she would have been dead yesterday. How do you know? Well, we don't, but that's what I'm going to say. So just shut up. Take your 4th booster. right? And so what, like cancer, you know, heart attacks, clots, you know, hemorrhages, different diseases and things like that. All this stuff is now emerging, right? And how, I don't even understand. See, this is the thing too. I don't even understand how they get all of this information. It wasn't available before, but it's available now, right? And I guess you just have to look at the severe spike in all the numbers, because that's the main telltale sign of all this, is the gigantic spike in death numbers in all the different categories, right? Of course, obviously, I don't have any here in front of me. I'm on my laptop. I don't got nothing here, but you guys have seen the videos. You guys have seen some of the articles and stuff like that before. You've seen the stuff, right? It's not conspiracy. It's been on different news sites. They tell you this stuff, right? They just don't broadcast it with a broad brush like they do when they want you to believe something, right? They tell you because you need to know it, but not because they want you to know it, right? They tell you because they need to put it out there, right? It's part of the thing, right? And it's not even because these people are necessarily so smart. The ones above them, they know what they're doing, right? But they have to kind of let you know. They have to let the cat a little bit out of the bag. The whole thing is, right, all this stuff has been around. The information has been around for so many years, right? And it's been talked about for so many people. There are people that are 80 and 90 years old that know about all this stuff, right? And have known about it for a long time, right? And have been researching up to this point. And they could tell you back in the 70s when they, you know, when it was like, we're this close now, right? And then as we get closer and closer to where we're at right now, it's like, well, we're definitely here now. Because now they're talking about it. They're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. They're talking about the Great Reset, right? They're talking about the world population being too many and how we have to literally restrict our carbon footprint and bring our populations down to be in harmony, right? In order to, you know, because global warming is going to wipe everything out, right? So they want you to believe all this stuff, right? When they are the engineers of all the chaos, and they made all their money off of all of the stuff that is now bad. And now they're going to transition onto the new industrial age, which they all happen to have the patents and the contracts and, you know, all the deals for, right? They all the investments, right? I said this right off the very get-go, right? Now, Elon Musk is in the news because he bought Twitter, right? Hey, Elon Musk. The white Twitter's back, baby, right? That's sidetrack from Elon Musk. People talk about black Twitter. This is the end of black Twitter. What is black Twitter? And how is there black Twitter? Is it like BET? I don't get it. Is there Chinese Twitter? What is black Twitter? Is this black activism? I don't get it. Holy crap. Oh, my dad took the poison. Within months, he had 2 heart attacks and open heart surgery. Japers. I'm sorry to hear about that, Miss Massless. I hope your father is doing better. That's crazy. But there you go, right? And there's a lot of other people. Everybody knows a handful of people that know people that this stuff's happened to, right? Way more that, you know, got the thing and died, right? The virus, you know, the bioweapon, whatever it was. Is it a bioweapon? Is it nothing? I'd say it had to have been a bioweapon, to be honest with you guys. Like, I don't want to go along with that whole narrative because I know it goes all along with part of the whole thing, but it had to have been something, right? There had to have been something, but to what level is a different story, right? Because you didn't see the deaths in the first year. They, you know, it was everybody that died of the flu, well, and that coming fall and winter, well, that was all COVID, but there was no flu. Then the next year, then it was less people dying of COVID, but, you know, and these different waves, there was deaths, but that also corresponded with shots and deliveries and so on and so forth. And then, you know, the flu was back, right, the next year because COVID, right, was there, but the flu was back again, but it wasn't there the year before. And then, and then more shots came because you got to get it, because now we get new variants. We got Omicron, right? And these other secret variants that might come out in the future. So your best bet is to get, your third dose if you're available. Now, they're announcing, hey, we're setting up clinics to get your fourth booster shot. Come on down. Find out more. If you have a loved one, then you should bring them with you. What's going on in China, again, it's the same thing that happened the first time. We seen all the stuff in China. We're like, oh, crap, that's what they did to get a hold of it. And that never happened here. And now they're showing us a stepped up version of what happened the years before. Like, it's insane, right? Like, when you look at that footage from China, it's like, what? Like the images of all the cars going down on those apartment complexes that look like giant Lego blocks that had like the lights on them. It looked like Dark City or something. Like, it looked like that was weird footage. Like just like a million people, like getting like the Chinese were like, they would be the ones that be like, we're going to use 1 million people in this photo op, right? Hoi ha! We use 1 million people. Go really big for USA. Fucking Americans. Fucking asshole. Monument businesses are making a killing. Literally. Yeah. Who has time to read obituaries? Strange pastime, weirdo. What? But anyways, awesome. Very targeted weapon. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a targeted weapon to a low degree, because it was like, what is COVID? What are the symptoms? How much did that change, right? And here's the thing, like, this last thing that, my family was sick with, like, there was all these different symptoms, and none of them were necessarily the same, and none of them were, I guess, some flu-like, but not like, not flu, not right? It wasn't any of that. Just different. It just kind of moved around, it seemed, right? I don't know. Maybe targeted weapon, right? Because now they can target you in many different ways. The 5G stuff, the effects from 5G radiation are very similar to COVID sickness, right? You got this long COVID, which can also be, parentheses as 5G too, right? Effects of that being in a place where you have a high concentration of 5G waves, right? 5G towers set up around you, right? They can target the water. We don't have city water or anything like that. We got a well, right? But if they're seeding the clouds, that's getting into the water table, it's going into the rocks, it's going into the ground, right? It's getting into water, right? They're putting it in foods. I'm sure that there are places out there specifically that they have contracts to put certain things in their foods as an additive. You ever think about, I don't know, government weed? You think what maybe is in some of that? What if they put a little bit of that, what's that stuff, that black stuff, the black goo, the metallic stuff? What's that called? Black shite? Magnetic stuff? Chat, what's that black stuff? Carbon? Graphene oxide. What do we know? Like graphene, how much stuff could that be in? There's so much stuff. Government weed? No such thing here. Yeah, we get government weed. No, but really though, guys, like there's so many different things that it can be, and they never clarified exactly what the symptoms of COVID were, and they changed right? At first, it could be they named all these different symptoms. Then it was just these particular symptoms. Now they're not tested for anything, right? Like nobody's tested. Some people are still tested. I mentioned that before. Some people, they, a test can be false positive and they take it serious. So they, lock down, they get COVID. They don't have any symptoms. Some people have symptoms but deny that they have COVID. Don't do a test. We didn't do any tests. We're not going to. Right? Never would, never will, ain't going to. Can't make me. If you make me you F. I like my herb homegrown, CA. Oh yeah, graphene hydroxide. That's what Andreas Nowak was killed for discovering. Andreas Nowak. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I think there's a great turning that's going to happen, guys. I really do. I think a great turning is very much plausible, and that's why there's a lot of silence, radio silence. But one can also say that they're just loosening their grip for a brief moment before they put it back on again come the fall, because that's what they always seem to do. But if you'll notice this time around, right, when they took all the restrictions off, right, when they lifted the restrictions pretty much worldwide, Western nations, they're the ones that were holding them the most. When they lifted them, it was still in the winter. It wasn't spring, right? I mean, the first year, before they would allow you to gather again, like outdoor gatherings, right? And first year they didn't talk about masks anyways, but they allowed you to gather. It was the first weekend of May. It wasn't until the first weekend of May, right? And then the next year, same thing. The next year it wasn't till into June, before they took the masks off, and then they put them back on again come September, October. Right? How many years has it even been? I can't remember, but that's what happened, right? So now this year they lifted all the mandates when it was still in February, March. This is the time of the year when it's like cold, wet, right? We're starting to maybe come out of the wetness a little bit. But like you're at the tail end of the winter when everybody's at the most rundown point, right? From going through the winter, and they took all the stuff off, right? So the science that they're following is science falsely so-called, right? Like it's bullcrap. Like it didn't make sense from year to year. It was still the cold and flu season, and they lifted everything. Why is that? Because they had to. And they'll never admit that little gathering in Ottawa had any effect on it, right? They'll never admit to that, right? Because if there was that many people gathered in Ottawa protesting for how many weeks? It was a month at least, wasn't it? If there was that many people gathering there, how many people were watching it around and abroad, right? And then they were going to charge everybody that was going to be there and fine everybody and stuff like that. I'm going to go after everybody. I haven't seen anybody get arrested. I haven't heard anything. Maybe that's why I haven't heard anything, because everybody's been arrested. I don't think so. But they talked a big talk. They're going to go after everybody. But really, again, they just don't have the power. They show their cards. They show how weak they are. And we just keep giving them too much credit, as if they actually have the ability, capacity to do it. Because you can see how many of those different police chiefs resigned and left, and all these different politicians that are resigning. They're not running for re-election and all this stuff, right? Why is that? They don't want to have anything to do with it. And in the public sector and different, in schools and everything, how many bosses and different ones in administration positions and stuff are, I'm done after this year. I'm retiring. I'm out. Why? What changed? Not any fun anymore, right? Have a little bit of buyer's remorse, a little bit of guilt, how you treated fellow employees and staff and different things like that. You know, it's so hard when you see these people that are so pathetic and weak and just they're not much, right? And I'm not saying that I'm much, right? Or that you're much. I don't know you. You don't really know me, but you know, I'm not that much, right? Just a guy, you know, just a dude. I work, I have a family, and I don't like to have many problems. I don't like to have any problems. I like things to go nice and smooth. I like to be able to do my thing, which isn't harming anybody at all. Just trying to raise a family, keep a roof over our heads, you know, be a good husband, good father, right? Good employee, good friend. Try to do what I can. They want to just stomp your soul into the ground so that you don't even want to do any of those things. That everything is so tiring and exhausting that you just don't have time for anything. And so you just get angry and upset and depressed. And the things that you should care about and be focused on, you're not. And those things annoy you and frustrate you because they're not the thing that you want to be attacking, right? You want to be attacking the thing that is putting the weight on your shoulders, but you're not allowed to attack the thing, right? Even though it's weak and pathetic and you'd whoop its ass, you're not allowed to. You can't do it. Oh, no, we can't. No, we won't resort to that type of intervention. We're going to follow this the legal and lawful way, which has always been successful up to this point, right? You know the thing, right? You know mechanics. You know, because it's such a the the dance floor. It's like a glass dance floor, right? And it's like there's something that you got to do, that you need to do in order to put this away from you and put it behind you, right? As a nation, as a country. But there's not enough people on board yet. They haven't felt enough pain, right? They haven't seen. They're still too comfortable, right? And that's not me saying that from a perspective of, you know, I want this to take place, but the reality of it is as long as we're comfortable, we ain't gonna do nothing. Nobody's gonna actually do anything, right? We're gonna go about it the way that we're going, right? Which is working, maybe, could be. A lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of false hopes, a lot of us putting our faith in a system that has continuously bent us over and raped us, right? And if you believe that that system is going to come out in your favor, then I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's programmed to do so unless there's enough people that are, telling the system that it needs to change, right? And so in which case you have to have some kind of a unification point amongst people. And how do you do that in a country that's, well, we're a melting pot, right? We welcome everybody. We don't care who you are, what you do, where you're from, what you believe in, what your practices are. We don't care. Come on in, join us. Even though we have nothing in common and I'll never talk to you from this day forward. Right? Come on in. We'll pretend that we care about each other's you know, ethnic origin, right? We'll pretend that we care about each other's traditions and entertain each other, right? Like that isn't going to happen because there's too much work. People don't want to do that, right? maybe if you have time to, but most people that are working people don't have time, especially if you got family. You know, you barely talk to your own neighbors, right? But melting pot, indeed. Oh, this has been pretty fun. 1:45, almost getting on to 2 hours. Coffee's almost done. Didn't really, I don't know if we talked about a whole lot. We did. Talked about a bit. We chatted. I think we've had a little bit of fun here, right? I didn't finish what I was talking about Elon Musk though, right? But see, I kept that in my head. I knew I had to go back to that. I knew I had to pass back over that trail. So Elon Musk came and he saved Twitter, right? He saved Twitter and saved free speech. He's our savior. He's the white hat in the black hats, right? He's the one that's in the system that is rising out of it. He's Prometheus. He's carrying the torch of humanity into the future of free speech on social media platforms. So in the digital world, right? So in the digital world, you'll have your free speech in the digital world, just not the real world. Well, as long as I have it in the digital world, that's all that matters. And it's kind of true, isn't it? As long as you have your kind of space to go and, you know, spurg out or whatever it is, right? We have that place to go and, you know, vent our frustrations. And then we get off and then we go to work like, oh, I'm so glad that I made that post. Now I can go to work and be happy, right? I got that off my chest, right? Is that what the bright new future looks like? You know, Elon Musk, at the very beginning of the pandemic, there were Tesla charger stations that were put at every big stop Irving in New Brunswick. 10 charger stations at each of these ones. There wouldn't be 10 Teslas in New Brunswick, I don't think, right? There probably is more now. But he got those in there before the pandemic even started, before there was even a push. There was a couple charger stations that MB Power had set up at like 12 locations, okay? New Brunswick ain't that big, okay? But say 800 kilometers from south to north. I don't know if that's even true or not, but we'll just say 800 kilometers, okay? So to 800 kilometers, say there was like 12 charging stations, and that ain't that far off, right? It was like 10, 12, maybe 15 at these just different random locations, right? How long does it take to even plug in and charge a car at one of these charging stations? Like how long? Like, you know, when you go, you fill up the tank with gas, you know, you can be there for, 5 minutes, right? Depending on how big your vehicle is, how big your tank is. Miss Maskless, it was good to see you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Have yourself a wonderful night. You're down in the States. I can't remember where you said. Someplace nice. A lot of pretty places in the States. You have yourself a good night, Miss Maskless. Thanks for coming out. So he had these charging stations set up ahead of time, pre-COVID. Nobody was talking about really, well, I mean, obviously they were talking about the electrical car and everything like that, but in New Brunswick, like not a lot of people are, right? You know, some people in the city, the nerds and everything like that, they're talking about, I get my electrical car so I can plug in and be green efficient. I'll be the savior and they'll make me a king in the New World Order. I got my Tesla. I can charge this baby in an hour. Full charge. Yes, I got a Tesla. And every afternoon when I get home, I plug it in. I like to hear the buzzing of the charging. I quite like it. So we had these charging stations all set up, and look now, gas is so high, right? Getting so high that in the news, people are debating whether they should trade over to EV. What the hell's an EV? Oh, that would be an electric vehicle. Oh, I got you, EV. Why didn't you say electric vehicle? Why you have to be a pretentious asshole and say EV? People are looking into EVs every day. Dorothy, what's an EV? Electrical vehicle! Okay, you don't have to yell. Right? So these electrical stations, they've been set up. They're talking about people needing to switch over to electrical vehicles. No, it just so happens that Starlink Musk, right, has these charging stations set up all over the place. And you know what? Also, I'm going to, Elon Musk, he brought Starlink to Elgin and all of the far off no-go zones of New Brunswick, the no man lands of New Brunswick, because there's many places in New Brunswick where you do not have, in a first world country, you don't have cell phone service. There's a lot of places, right? There's a lot of places in New Brunswick you can't get cell phone service, right? But third world countries, like, they're all walking around with cell phones, right? They're all like everywhere's has cell phone service, but New Brunswick, in a lot of places, you don't have cell phone service. But Elon Musk brought Starlink. He said that he promised that rural New Brunswick was going to have high-speed internet access just like everybody else. They announced that on the radio a couple years ago. That was his goal. Elon Musk is New Brunswick. This is called New Musktown. New Mustwick. New Musk. New Muskik. Starlink is a cover-up. You're a cover-up, Shabugala. Don't you talk about the Musk like that. You can't cuck the Musk. You can't husk the Musk. You can't husk the Musk. But what is Starlink? They're out in space, are they? He's got his satellites out in space. The ever-expanding universe above the flat Earth. Are we in a flat Earth? Do little people live in the middle of the Earth? Is there a hollow Earth? Are there bases in Antarctica? Do Nazis have a secret base on the moon? Are we living in simulation? Do you ever wonder if some really autistic, almost retarded people in this world are really time travelers from the future? Think about it. I reckon 70% is flat. So right? Not like flat, but the suspense is killing me. Please tell. Tell what? About the Starlink cover-up? Or about the flat Earth? About the dome? The firmament? I don't know if the earth is flat. I don't know if the earth is round, but you know what? I can't prove either one. How many times have you heard that? But that's the truest statement about the flat earth. I can't prove a flat earth. I can't prove a round earth, a globe earth. I can't prove a turtle on an elephant earth, right? I can't prove a inverse earth. There's that one, there's like a big inner cone, like but you know what? I would think that those ones are all bullshit. But the flat and the globe, right? That is the battle. Those are the two contenders. There's no other real contenders, right? And obviously, the people from the globe side, they would say, gravity, hello, right? And they would say all, kinds of things that aren't really examples of why the earth would be round, right? And they don't have really any proof at all, right? But at the same time, there's no proof of a flat earth either. I will say the earth looks flat, when you're looking at it, if you're ever in like a hot air balloon or something like that. If you've, gone in a plane where you can have had good visibility out the window when you're, taking off and going up, right? If you're ever at a high point looking out kind of thing, it appears flat, right? And it would make sense that it is, but then again, where does the earth end? How large is it? The fact is, the earth is huge, massive. So big that it's like when you step outside of your house, okay? I've thought about this all my life. I step outside and I look as far as I can see all around. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, that is my world. As far as I can see, that's the world that I'm in. Right? I don't know what's going on in the Mediterranean. I don't know what's going on in Calcutta. I don't know what's going on in Uzbekistan, Mount Kilimanjaro, Chile, Tanzania. I don't know what's going on in those places. Those are completely alien worlds to me. The world is massive. Just the fact that we can drive and fly places that seems like it's so much smaller, right? Try walking anywhere of any distance. Just see how big the world is. Do you ever notice? Okay, so I said you go outside, you look all around you. It's like, from what you can tell there, that looks like a globe, that you're in a globe right there. It looks like you're just in a giant circle. The surface is flat, but you're just, you're in a big fishbowl kind of thing, right? You're out in a field and there's a little bit of a swampy kind of area with a patch of black spruce trees or something like that, right? Or just a patch of trees, okay? Maybe not black spruce. Take your pick. What's your choice, right? And that just looks like a little tiny patch of trees, right? But when you go from that field and then you walk into that patch of trees, once you step inside that patch of trees becomes your whole world. Because as far as you can see is the trees. And that becomes its own little world. It's crazy. Because when you were outside of it, it just looked like a little patch of trees. And then you go inside and you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of trees in here. This is like its own little world. Its own little secret, majestic garden. Or, you go to a house and look at a house and you're like, that house looks small, right? And it might be a small house. But then you go inside the house and it's like, well, it's a lot bigger inside than what it looks like outside. Like when you're outside, you look at a house and you think, Well, Jumpman's, if we stand like this, then we'll like touch one side of the house to the other, right? But then you go inside, you're like, hey, pass the salt. I can't with normies anymore. I just want a picture from outer space of boats floating on the upside down water. Okay. All images of Earth are admittedly artist renditions. 100%. 100%. Because I think it's part of the fact that they can't prove much themselves, or they're just deliberately keeping it secret, and they show us these artist renditions, right? Maybe they know it's flat. Maybe they have no way of knowing either way, right? But they have to, one way or another, these people are control freaks, so they have to, have the answer, right? So they're giving us an answer, and now people are questioning that answer. So, they accuse you of all sorts of things. And you know what? In the flat earth, there are a lot of dummies and a lot of idiots and a lot of pieces of crap, right? A lot of retards and narcissistic, just ego-driven, like cult leaders, right? There are all kinds of those people. And, even in the whole anti no Joe, no jab movement, right? Lots of weirdos in there too, right? Lots of people that you probably wouldn't regularly hang out with and stuff, but yeah, coming under a common thing, right? I've always looked around for perspective, never got an answer. Yeah, perspective is a big thing, and everybody's perspective is their own. And if we don't have a general perspective, then when we all have our own perspective, it's not a very cohesive world to live in, right? Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, right? Well, everybody's doing as they want to do, right? Most people that got the jab, they got it because they wanted to do a certain thing, right? They wanted to do it, so they're going to do it. They didn't care what they put in their body to be able to do that. Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. People not considering anybody else, not considering consequences for their actions, any repercussions or anything like that. And because of that, that's this low frequency energy, right? This unnatural rhythm, right? That people are into. It takes people off of any normal connection that they have to this world, right? And they don't have the same perspective or outlook on life, on their fellow man, right? What it is to be a good person, right? And when I say to be a good person, none of us are really that good. We've all sinned, come short of the glory of God, right? But we know universally by the laws that God has laid upon man, on man's heart and his conscience, right? That there is a certain way to act and to have a cohesive society, and there's certain laws that need to be implemented to take care of certain things, rules that need to apply, justice that needs to be carried out and fulfilled in order to keep the peace amongst the people, to keep that cohesion, right? And when we don't have that localized point, which should be God's law, then we fall down all sorts of holes and down off the road into all sorts of ditches, right? We go off the path in many different directions. And without people having a general sense of what's that called? Civility, but just generally how to be in the world, being respectful, being honorable, being polite, being courteous, being helpful, being a hard worker, right? Wanting to build up your community, right? Like having a, you know, a manner of protection about you, right? That you want to defend those that you love, those that are around you, right? A general sense that I think most people had at one point in time. We don't have it now. We don't care because it's too uncomfortable, right, to bear it. And with the way that they're playing all this, well, we're not getting together en masse to say, hey, we're not doing this anymore. And if you keep it up, you're going to be hanging. You're going to be swinging. This little shorty, she's as pretty as the angels when they sang. Something, something, something on the front porch and the swing, just a swinging. 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 Right? But because this won't actually happen, because we're all like, well, no, we can't. Oh, no. Well, we don't want to be too, And it's true, right? It's a very fine line, especially when you're dealing with large groups of people, right? To just pop off and do something extreme, well, that's not going to be good for anybody, right? That's going to be the thing that they want to happen. So we're left in this thing where really our hands are tied behind our backs because you can't do anything. You're not supposed to say anything. If you can't do anything and you can't say anything, well, then what's supposed to happen? You're just going to bottle it up until you get cancer and die? That's what they want, right? They want you to bottle up and get frustrated, get depressed, cut yourself off from everybody, not have any, will to live, to thrive, to feel good and be healthy, right? They want you to be at odds with your family, with your friends, co-workers. They want to isolate you, right? And this time right now that we're in where they're, everything's off, this is really the time where if you haven't been out and making friends in your community, you need to be doing that now. You need to be having that fellowship, being able to go back to church. Okay. Now this is a thing, people might have their opinions on this. Like, you're going back to church, right? Like, they wouldn't even let you in before. Yeah, no, it's, there was ones on the board there. They're scared of the whole thing. It's not the pastor's decision. I know the pastor, his position on it, and they made the decisions that they made. And, when they took that off, and I was happy to be able to go back to church because what, one thing that I missed about not being in church was singing. I miss singing. I love going to church. I used to not really sing. Well, I used to, you sang, but when I go to church now, like I'm singing loud and I'm putting some effort into it. Right? It's and it feels good, and it's good to feel good, right? And it's not a right? Like it's none of that stuff, right? It's just you're shouting out, you're lifting your voice to praise the Lord and to glorify Him, right? And that's a good thing. And those words in those hymns, okay, especially the older hymns, like the way that lyrically that they're put together, the amount of teaching, right, that's in those hymns, right, the amount of just ecclesiastical knowledge that pertains in those songs, and how doctrinal those songs are when you actually listen to the lyrics and then you sing those words, like they are powerful. Like the Bible is powerful, and those words are powerful. You know why? Because those words and those hymns are in tune with the words of the Bible, right? So those hymns are God's word, right? Because they're not saying anything different than what the Bible's saying. They're saying the exact same thing. They're echoing it in the form of a song, and it's beautiful. And when you sing it, and when you're with others that are singing it, it's a beautiful thing. I'm not paying attention to anybody else. I'm just singing out with a loud voice, praising the Lord. And that's a wonderful thing. And then to sit there with my family, right, in the church, and then to see other younger families that are now coming out and some friends that we've made. And my wife, especially, God bless her, she's really made some friends here in the last little bit where I've kind of been more like introverted. She's actually become outroverted. Anyways, she's become more social, and she gets tired out by too much social, but she's met some really good friends. And so now some of these ones are coming to church with their families, and they got, kids like, 2, 3 kids, 4 kids. One of them has 5 kids, right? And you see those families, they fill up pews pretty quickly, and a lot of these churches, that's what they need, right? Because most of their churches are, yesteryears, older souls, gray hats, gray heads, and a lot of them have been faithful for years. But there's a lot of them too. They're at the point of their life where they're not, they're just trying to finish off their years, right? And they're not super on fire and ready to fight, and but they're not necessarily ready to pass on the torch either, right? Or to, give over. But I think the more that they see young people going out with their families to church and see, it's like, there is hope, because that is hope, right? Because the world wants you to totally check out. It doesn't want extroverted. Thank you, Chris Legini. I'm both. I can be very introverted by times, but then I can be a very big extrovert as well. It just all depends. Depends on the occasion. Depends on the time. How I'm feeling. I've been definitely a lot more introverted in the last couple of years, and I noticed, like, in the last little bit while I was kind of taking a break there, I'm like, man, like, I'm just having a hard time even talking to people anymore. Just, my demeanor, my countenance, my ability to have a conversation, have an intellectual. I just don't want to. I just want to be away from everybody, go to work, buzz off. And I'm still like that. I still want to work alone and be like that. But I'm starting to be like, okay, I need to get working with people again, and let them know that I'm not an asshole that just wants to be on himself, because they need help too, and they need guidance and stuff like that. And it's good to have fellowship and work with people. So it's good getting back to church. It's good seeing other young families starting to fill up the churches, right? Because the other generation, the gap that's between us and them, right, is quite great. And if we're not there, then when they're gone, there's nobody. And the church really dropped the ball in many cases. Church is. Say the church. I say the church. When I say the church, okay, the church is a spiritual body of believers, right? They make up the body of Christ. And they're found all over the world, of every nation, every tongue, every creed. And they're in many denominations that are called Christian, but not everybody that calls himself Christian and is in a Christian denomination is actually a Christian. Just like the Bible says that not all those who say they are Israel are of Israel. Okay? But that's not to be like, yeah, I knew there's not as Christians that aren't really Christians. Well, that's like in everything. There's a lot of people that just they're there and they play the thing, but they're not the real deal, right? And why is that? Because you can go to church all your life and never really understand the gospel and never really accept it. You kind of flirt around it and everything, but you don't quite know. Church versus cart. Church versus cart. Not quite sure I know that. What you're referencing there should be they put on, the churches really dropped the ball. Some of them did. Some of them went hard against it. The ones that spoke, there was many that didn't say a thing, didn't make a big deal about it, and they did not follow the mandates the whole time, and they were able to continue on. Just depended on their congregation and how close knit it was, right? Whatnot. Some of the big mega churches, the big open churches and stuff like that, there's no way they were able to do it, right? Because the big church, the big mega church, I said mega churches here, but the big churches around here, right? They're liberal as can be, right? They're trendy and everything like that, so they're going along with it because, hey, it's cool, we're doing what the government says. Haha, Romans 13, right? We have no thoughts or opinions, we just do what we're told. We love everybody, man. So it's like speaking to yourself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing, making melody in your heart to the Lord. Ephesians 5:9. Amen to that, Gary. I'm sorry too. You know what? I'm so spastic, OCD. I seen In Darkness earlier. In Darkness, if you're still watching, buddy, I'm sorry. I seen your name flash up, and I was like, I gotta mention In Darkness, and now I can't find you in the chat. If you are around still in darkness, hope all is well, brother. Also, M, how you doing? Looks like you're doing a skateboarding trick. What is that? I don't know what that picture is. It's quite small. Anyways, where's I at? In Darkness, where you at? So the churches, many of them really dropped the ball and really went, pro-government, pro-mandate, pro-mask, pro-jab, get it, got it, we're scared, terrified, help us, get us out of this, be our saviors, fear man more than God, right? And a lot of them, there was many that didn't. You just didn't hear about them. The ones that spoke up, well, they're the ones that you've seen all over the news. And, were all those ones doing it for the right reason? Maybe. Hopefully. Right? Hopefully they're doing it out of faith and not for, filthy lucre, right? Not for their belly, right? It's possible. There's lots of controlled ops out there. I still believe that the opposition to this whole thing is very much controlled, and that, SPARS, that whole document there is really, it's not 2025 to 2030. We are in the SPARS pandemic scenario. And it talks about in there how that it's going to come out that these vaccines weren't that effective, which it is. Slowly but surely, it's coming out. They're admitting it, right? We're not, that they can't say it all at once, and they got to be real careful on how they say it and how they release numbers, just because it's got to go a certain way. Sorry if I'm twirling that, it's making sound feedback. So they've got to let it out a little bit at a time, just little pressure releases, right? And what is that for? That is so that everybody, mostly those that put their trust in it all, right? They're the ones, because it's not going to be any surprise to any of us, right? It's not a surprise to anybody that's been looking into this. But for those that have followed all this and have believed that the science was settled, believe that they're looking out for your safety and for your health, that they want to help you, they want to take care of you, they want to give you universal global income, they want to give you universal health care, they just want you to be safe, they love you, they just want to pet you on your head, and they want to just, put some powder on your bum and give you a little pat and send you off to bed and tuck you up nice and tighter on the neck, right? It's no surprise to us, right? But to these people, it's going to be a very, very big shock. And they're going through this process where they're like, dang it, they lie to me? No, they didn't lie to me. No. I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do. I got the thing. Right? But did they? But did they lie to me? I'm feeling weird. So and so, I know they've been off work a lot lately. Such and such, they just had a stroke again. Right? Can't. No. It's just it just these things happen. We're all getting older every day, right? Eventually, we're all going to die of something. No jab though. No jab. Save it effective. Thanks. Can I get another one, please? One more. Right. No, those are the people, right, that are going to be most affected by it. They're either going to go super far, like, no, it didn't hurt me. You hurt me because you wouldn't get vaccinated, right? Or they're going to lose all trust completely of anybody who's any place of authority and a power over them, right? Any position. Because just as the politicians, just as the doctors, right? Just as the, legal professional, whatever, just like the teachers and our principals and our, some of our bosses, and our family members, right? Or some church leaders, right? People, coaches, different people and all different, our favorite singers and actors, news people and politicians and whoever it is, whoever that you make your idol to, right? Whoever you make your idol to, that person that you made your idol to, you believed what they said, right? And you followed the narrative. You are going to lose all faith in those systems. You know what? That's going to be a good thing. That is going to be a good thing in one sense if you already had an idea that it was taking place. But for a lot of people, it's going to be a really, really hard pill to swallow, right? And they're going to get really, really upset. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits. And how is a country ever going to survive all these lawsuits that are going to come out? Because there's a lot of lawsuits already pending, and the amount of lawsuits that will come out in the future, unless they pull out all the stops and just cut everything off, because they're pretty much in destructo mode, just like. But you understand that, what I mean, though, right? Like they're at the point now where it's starting to come out that these things weren't so hot, right? And as it takes time to set in, right? When it takes time for this to set into people, it's going to be too late, right? The damage is already going to be done, but they're going to come out with an answer for that. And what if all these sicknesses and diseases and different things that spring up in the next little bit, what if, just per se, they bring out new, better vaccines that, reverse the effects, right? The actual technology that's being suppressed, that the, light world order, right? The gurus, the new age, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Space Brothers, the Ascended Masters, right? The special helpers of the Ascended Masters and the prophets that are all about to emerge, right? With all this new age stuff. Because a lot of the new age stuff is very relevant, right? It doesn't have to be all witchy and whatnot, but ultimately, it's kind of looking like it's going to get used for those purposes, right? That there's two lines of thinking, that there's the current system that wants to break away and have their own breakaway civilization, have all the technology for themselves and shut off the rest of humanity from it, right? And then the other line, right, that's out there right now is that The Great Awakening will upset the Great Reset and those that are operating under the Great Reset, and the Great Awakening will upset that Great Reset, and that these new technologies to take humanity to the next level, right, will be provided for all of mankind. But there's going to be a kicker to that, people. You know that there's got to be a kicker to that, right? It's not going to be for free, or it might be for a time, right? But just like the song, don't pay the fare. Don't even negotiate a price. You got to flee from it. And that wasn't reference to the ferryman's toll. That's just what came to my head. Don't bother even messing around with it. Don't try to negotiate with it. Just flee from it. Because that can be part of the great deception, right? The answers, the real answers, are what we think are the real answers to all the problems, right? What if they're putting up a dummy in front of you, right? Like, Noel Harari, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates. What if they're just dummies that are being put up to be dropped, right? To reveal the true faces behind the scenes, right? Because there's lots of people on our side that are just saying too, we don't want to see anything happen to any of these people. We just want them to stop doing what they're doing. Well, do you think that they're really going to stop? I mean, we have to pray for our enemy, right? We have to relieve our hatred and, whatnot for our enemies, because we should have no personal enemies. All these things need to take place, right? So we have to hope that they'll turn from their ways. But at the same time, they have to carry out their evil deeds, because those thoughts, those plans have been put into their mind to do these things, to achieve this new world order, Great Reset, right? Maybe they don't even know what the outcome is be. Maybe they just know that they have to do this thing, right? And that they've been promised, a way out. Now, I've seen this. Peter, do you believe in the pre-trib rapture? A lot of people dying in my circles. The pre-trib rapture. The pre-trib rapture. No, I don't believe in the pre-trib rapture. The pre-trib rapture, okay, because I see this from quite a few different sides, from being someone that's been around in church and in those kind of circles, and then also being outside the church and other circles and on the internet and stuff like that. So, like, believers, non-believers, your perspective on the end times is going to differ from one another, right? And a lot of people that aren't believers, they have a problem with the way believers see the end times, right? Because, there's almost like this anticipation, right? Well, you can't wait for everybody to die and for, billions of people to be destroyed just so Jesus can come back and save you. You think that he's come back to save you, right? And it's like, well, no. It's just the mere fact that as a Christian, you can see that the God of this world is really doing a beeline, right, for the edge of the cliff, right? And he's pulling out all the stops. And you can see that we are in like the days of Noah, right? When it's just evil continually in man's mind, right? The earth is filled with violence, right? And everybody just lusts after their neighbor's wife, right? And desires their neighbor's ass, right? Everybody wants everything now, right? Everybody wants to live the life where it's like you don't have to do anything and you're rich. You make money off of doing absolutely nothing. You do as little as possible and make the most amount of money, right? In this day and age, the least amount of work that you can possibly do to make the most amount of money, and if it involves doing any amount of work to make a little money, it's like, no, I ain't bothering with that, right? And it's like you're a sucker if you put in time to work, right, at your slave job, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, I get that point, but I don't. I want to work, right? I want to earn what I have and feel good about it, right? I'd love to have more money, but not at the not because I'm trading stocks and all this stuff like that, all this fake bullshit. Not against anybody that does do that whole thing, right? You know, you're making money, but it's like, I don't know. It's not for me. Maybe, and that's a stupid reason from me, you know, saying that, you know, maybe it's very stupid and backwards thinking to not take advantage of that situation and make easy money. But it's one of those things where just like saying GD or JC, I just don't like the idea of it. I'd much rather like the idea of a giant pile of dirt, you know, spilling on the road and them saying, listen, man, we'll pay you to shovel that dirt off the road. I was like, sure, man, I'll shovel that. I'll get that pile off the road, right? But I'm half retarded too. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, again, not against anybody that does any trading or has any crypto or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying. Like the general consensus, like all these idiots on YouTube and the commercials and stuff like that, they're like, let me show you how you can earn a passive income. Well, with as little amount as effort possible. You're making income while you're sleeping, right? By selling shit that people don't need, right? But people will buy it because stuff and reasons, right? I would rather shovel dirt than trade stocks too. Yeah, like that stuff's really just, it's such, yeah, it's just not for me. I'm too, I don't know, Neanderthalic for that stuff. It's just not my thing. Ain't my thing. I got Psalms 115. So I'm going to end it here now. It's 119, starting to ramble and forgetting about what I'm talking about. But you know what? Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. It's good to be back. And I'm glad that you stopped by with me for this coffee and hang out for a bit. Just going to get up Psalms 115 and read it. And I can summarize it pretty quickly. Wilford Witzke, good to see you, buddy. Is there anybody else I missed? She's a mess, boys. I don't even know what half the stuff is in the chat, but I like reading some of them and putting voices to them. It's wholesome, Peter. I can't remember what it was that I said, but thank you, Crystal Jean. Crystal and Wilfred chatting it up in the chat. Chatty McChatties. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Chat away. So I think this is very fitting, guys, for the Great Rejects. There's more to this that I'd like to do, and talking about some more like the Masonic stuff and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to do that tonight because I didn't prepare anything for it. Like I say, we're just having a chat here, and I thank everybody that's coming out. So I'm going to read Psalm 119. Psalm 119, King James Version. Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory, for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God? Right? But unto thy name we give glory for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. That's what we're saying to God, right? Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God? Right? But our God is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he pleased. Right? God does whatever he wants to do. He's in the heavens. He's outside of this realm, outside this creation, but he makes everything that happens, everything that runs in this world, he makes it so. He created it to do its thing. He set it upon its circuit. Excuse me. Right? He does whatever he wants to do. He lifts up what he wants to lift up. He tears down what he wants to tear down. This is my own ad. Right? He gives to those he wants to give. He takes from those he wants to take. Right? God does whatever he wants to do. Right? But he's also outside of creation, allowing everything to take place. Why? Because it's his will to do so. Right? It's his will to have these things take place. And it can only take place naturally over the course of time, because God's time, right? He's outside of time. So 1,000 years to us is as a day to the Lord. So when we see when all this stuff is playing out over 1,000 years, it ain't that big of a deal to God. Just like people say, you know, the miracles of God and stuff like that, you know, and Jesus Christ being raised up and different miracles that Jesus performed and stuff like that. And it's like, you expect me to believe that, you know, Jesus was raised from the dead, right? And it's like, God created everything. He created everything. He spoke it into existence, right? If he can create everything, right? Because before there was anything, what was there? Nothing? Wrong, right? As Big Bang would say, there was nothing and then there was something, right? Before there was creation, there was God, okay? There was God. God spoke everything into existence, okay? If God can speak everything into existence, then I bet you that God can come to this earth in the form of a baby, grow up, fulfill the law, die on a cross, and be risen up on the third day. I think it's possible. I think it's probable. I think it's very likely, right? In fact, I know. How do you know? I believe it to be so because God's word says so. Continuing. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. They walk not. Feet have they. Sorry. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them. So is every one that trusteth in them. Oh, snap. So just let me reread that, okay? Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. Okay? It's an inanimate object. Okay? They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes they have, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses they have, but they smell not. Hands they have, but they handle not. Feet they have, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. Okay? So what does that tell you? They're dumb. Well, who am I looking at? I'm looking at this post. I'm like, they're dumb, man. Get that through your head. Right? They're dumb. They're dumb idols made of silver and gold. They can't. They got a mouth on them, but they don't speak. They put ears on them, but they don't hear. right? They got feet, they're standing, but they don't walk. They're going like this, but they can't handle anything. Moloch has got his hands out waiting for a baby, but it can't actually handle anything. Right? It just sits there. Right? They have noses, but they can't smell. They can't smell that burning baby. Right? Disgusting. Abortion is sacrifice to Moloch, 100%. Right? So all these things, these idols, they're dumb. They're inanimate objects. They're stupid. That's what it's saying. Okay? They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth them. So he's comparing the people that make the images and trust in the images as being like the images. You have eyes, but you can't see. Ears you can't hear. Nose you can't smell. Feet you can't walk. Hands you can't handle. Right? They're dumb. And those that trust in them are dumb too, because they're a dumb idol.
I made my idol, and I'm gonna worship him so. I love my little idol. I'm going to call him George. I like George. He likes me.
So they're dumb. Oh, Israel. Who's Israel? Oh, that country that was born again in 1948, right? Right? That's Israel, right? God's chosen people, right? Calling them back to the land, right? The land that he gave them, right? Who is Israel? Israel is God's chosen people. Israel is the people of God. Who is Israel? Anybody that believes in the Lord Jesus Christ, that believes on the shed blood of Christ, believes that he was resurrected, raised up at the right hand of the Father. Anybody who believes on Jesus Christ, the Savior, our Lord and Savior, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, anybody who believes on him have been brought into the commonwealth of Israel. We've been grafted in wild olive branches, grafted into the main tree. Israel, Commonwealth of Israel. We were alien, far off from the Commonwealth, but now we are we are partakers in it. We are partakers in the promise of Abraham. Oh, the promise of Abraham was that he was going to bring forth the Jews and that they would rule the world one day, and he would bless those that bless them and curse those that curse them. Well, that's following the ways of Balaam, right? Balaam. What did Balaam do with Balak? Balak wanted them to curse Israel. He wouldn't curse Israel. And instead it turned around on Balak. He wanted to curse Israel. Those that curse Israel will be cursed, and those that bless Israel will be blessed. That's what Balaam was. He was a blesser and a curser, and people paid him to bless and curse. Okay? And Balaam, that is what made Israel to stumble. Okay? This whole idea of blessings and cursings, right? We can do no wrong. We're the chosen people. Did God not bring us out of the land so that we could do these things? Don't say such a thing. Don't say such things. Don't do this evil thing. Don't say this evil thing. Right? He did not deliver you out of the land of oppression from the gods of the nations of Canaan so that you could worship them and follow after their practices and commit adultery and fornication against your God with others. Right? Israel are God's people. Who is Israel? Anybody who believes in God, who puts their trust in him, that love him with all their mind, heart, and soul. And understand that Jesus Christ is God's Son, sent to this earth, the Word that was made flesh. Why? Because he was the law. He fulfilled the law. That's why he's the Word, because God's Word is what? Truth, right? God's law is true, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. Jesus Christ was perfect, tempted in every way that we were tempted, but he knew no sin, right? That's why he was worthy. That's why blessed is he, my son, who I'm well pleased, right? So, O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. Ye that fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. Okay? You understand that? The Lord, if you fear the Lord, if you trust the Lord, right, then you've got to know about his son, Jesus Christ. You've got to know about Jesus Christ. If you know about God, if you understand the Old Testament, then you have to understand the fulfillment of the Old Testament, which is Jesus Christ in the New Testament, right? Because it was revealed first to the Jew and then to the Gentile, right? He had to be crucified of the Jews so that Jews would be hated, so that the Christians or the Gentiles could come in, right? And Israel, by their rejection of Christ, made the way for the Gentiles to come in and to receive the blessing. Because at that point, they rejected the blessings. They rejected the covenant, which they had been doing. And God said, I made a covenant with you. You've left off the covenant. I'm leaving you off, right? Israel is those who put their trust in the Lord, who love him and fear him. The Lord hath been mindful of us. Who are the Jews today? Does anybody know who the Jews are today? Anybody know which tribe they're from? Right? Most of the church, right? The beginnings of the church, a lot of them were Jews. Then they went further into Greece, and then into Asia and other countries and all the other nations, right? But a lot of Christians, a lot of the people, a lot of the church were Jews, but when they became Christians, they stopped referring to themselves as the Jews or part of Jewry, right? And you'll notice that in the New Testament, the word Jew doesn't have a very positive spin to it, right? It's very negative. In fact, the ADL would ban the New Testament and the whole Bible for that matter, right? If it came down to defamation against the Jews, right? Because of what it says, different things. The fact of the matter is that the Jews of today, right? Revelation says those that say they're Jews and they're not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So who are they? They're pretending they're Jews. They're saying they're Jews, but are they Jews? How do we know they're Jews? What tribe are they from? The 10 northern tribes were all dispersed and integrated with other peoples, literally bred out of existence. And that's why they were called Samaritans. And that's why in Judah, that's why the story, the Good Samaritan, right? It's because the Good Samaritan helps a man from Judah or Benjamin, wherever it was from, one of the two southern tribes. And because the Samaritan, who, was looked down upon by those of Benjamin and Judah, he was robbed on the highway and left to die in the ditch. The Levite came by, the priest came by, someone else came by, I think. And finally, the Samaritan came by. And the Samaritan, who they would have considered a half-breed, that's why they called him Samaritan, he helped them, took care of them, brought them back to health, right? So those people there, they can't even tell you what tribe they're from. Then after Rome came in 70 AD, the great diaspora happened, And all those Jews, they went and hid themselves amongst the different nations. Some were converted to Christianity and became Christians, and they left off Jewry altogether. Some remained in Jewry but put on the mask of being Christian. Right? You got to think about how the Catholic Church was formed. The Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic Church, right? Like, it was brought together just only a couple of generations removed from the apostles, right? And from their deaths. And you don't think, well, not a lot can happen between such a short period of time, but a whole lot can happen, right? When literally the patriarchs, right, of the church, besides Christ being the foundation stone, right, the patriarchs of the church, of the movement, so to speak, and they've all been killed, put to death, persecuted, right? Pretty easy then for a whole new, management team to come in and rebrand, right? Turn, pagan Rome into Christian Rome for convenience, for the Republic, right? Was on the downturn, then turned into the Holy Roman Empire. And then, the Rome for years, they crowned all the kings. And then finally, the kings, they took power from the Pope. Remember Napoleon? He put the crown on himself. There's the picture where he takes the crown from the Pope and puts it on himself. You get the divine right of kings, where then the kings to usurp the Pope's power, because the Pope says that he's a vicar of Christ, and then the kings, they say that they rule by the divine right of kings, right? And now we're at the point where now all the people of the world, we're saying, well, no kings rule us. The people rule the people, right? But out of many, remember, out of many will come one. Think about that. Out of many will come one, There's going to be 10 nations in the end of it here that are going to all give the power to the beast, right? That's one. Going to give the power to one. And they're going to rule with them as one, right? For 1 hour. That's not funny. They're going to give their power to the one for 1 hour of power. The hour of power. And then your destruction. I was still reading Psalm 115. Man, I get sidetracked. So Israel, that's where I was at, right? So you fear the Lord, right? The Lord hath been mindful of us, Israel. He will bless us. He will bless the house of Israel. He will bless the house of Aaron. He will bless them that fear the Lord, okay? Even if they're talking about two different groups there, Israel and Aaron, well, it says he will bless them that fear the Lord. Okay, well, if he wasn't talking about us in the first two, definitely talking about us by this one, both small and great. Okay, so no matter where you are, no matter how great you are or how small you are, right, on the scale of life, right, and credit system and whatnot, right, small and great, those that trust him and fear him, he's with them. He blesses them. He's with them. He helps them. The Lord shall increase you more and more, you and your children. And that's kind of true, because in a lot of cases, we're the only ones that are producing, right? Ye are blessed of the Lord, which made heaven and earth. The heaven, even the heavens. The heaven, even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. The dead praise not the Lord, neither any that go down into silence. But he will bless the Lord from this time forth and forevermore. Praise the Lord. Right? The heaven, even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. Right? He has given this place for our habitation. Right? Oh. 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Crap. Okay. Sorry there, guys. So it's 1:42, and I just finished that. Even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. The dead praise not the Lord. The dead are also those who are going to go down into the pit, neither any that go down into silence into the pit. Those that are going to perdition, those that are perishing, right? That's who the dead are. Because it says at the end, right, that the dead will be, death and hell will deliver up their dead, right? And they will be standing before the judgment seat of Christ, and they will receive their judgment based on their works. Okay? So the dead praise not the Lord, neither any that go down in silence, just like when it said in the New Testament, let the dead bury the dead. Don't mourn over them. Right? And why is that? It's a pretty hard statement. But in one sense, it's like the opportunity was there and they decided not to take it. The free gift of salvation was there and they chose not to receive it. So how can you spend your time fretting over that person, right? That's why in this life, while we're still breathing, we need to be giving the gospel to people, even to those that we consider our enemies or that we don't want to give the gospel to, like Jonah when he didn't want to give the gospel to those in Nineveh. But we will bless the Lord for this time, forth and forevermore. Praise the Lord. Yes, praise be the Lord. Now listen, guys, I just got a call there. 1:40. I got a friggin' robot call. So I got to end this. The guy's got a compressor out. So if you don't got a compressor, then your air gates and your robot just don't work. So you're not milking any cows. So I got to send off for tonight. So I'm going to go through here. Gary Galuska, glory to God. Amen. Good to have you out, brother. Shabugala, good to have you out, brother. Good to see you, man. Wilford Witzke, good to see you, brother. Crystal Jean, good to see you, darling. Darling. Camo, brother, good to see you. Good to see you. East Coast Canadian, you were out earlier. In darkness, you were out. Miss Massless. M, whoever else was out. Thanks for coming out. It's good to see everybody. Good to chat a little bit. Who calling Pete at 2:40 a.m.? Yeah. Work on call weekend. I was gonna say in the message earlier, Camo, that I'll be there tonight, or I'll be gay. I'll be there tonight, or I'll be gay. That's what I was gonna say. But then I was worried that I was gonna get a call before that, right? And I'd have to get called out to work, and then I wouldn't be able to update the thing, and then I'd have to come on here and say, "I'm sorry, guys, I'm gay." And that would have been a really tough stream. I wouldn't be happy with it. There's In Darkness. Good to see you, brother. Have yourself a good night, man. Thanks for coming out, everybody. 3 hours. That went by pretty quick, I will say. Have a good night. God bless you all. Have a good day tomorrow. And I'll see you soon enough. I'll be back sooner than later. Back in action, baby. Yeah, I'll end it there. Awkwardly. Night, everybody. Peace. Try this again. Ha! Night, everybody. Peace.